chemical engineer is my official job title.
And what kind of company do you work for?
It's a THC equipment systems company. So we design and build all of the small scale to pilot plant scale extraction systems, but we don't do any extractions ourselves. So basically we'll build all of the stuff in-house, or if it's one of our plants, we'll build out a plant. And then basically we sell that to somebody else, and then they are the ones that actually do all the processing.
Gotcha. So you just build the equipment to do the extraction process, right?
Yep. We're not actually involved in any of the CBD and THC like selling. We're just the equipment buyer, basically. Yep.
What did you major in at school or college?
Biological and chemical engineering.
And what made you choose that area of study?
So I originally went into college from high school. Basically, I'd already decided I wanted to be an engineer and wasn't really sure what kind of path I wanted to go down. Originally just chose chemical because I had the highest salary and I had nothing else to go based off of. And then sophomore year, I took a introductory biochem class, and my professor was like insanely passionate about biochemistry and just made it like this really beautiful thing to me. And that kind of just instantly made me switch over to biochem engineering.
Does your job require a minimum level of education?
Yes, at least a bachelor's degree in engineering.
Is it any engineering were they looking for, or specifically chemical?
But yeah, if it was a chemical engineer, it would need to be a chemical engineer's.
Did your job require a minimum level of experience?
They did not.
What is your overall job description?
So I am an R&D chemical engineer, and but because it's such a small company, I do a lot of engineering administrative work as well. So I handle all engineering standard operating procedures, and then I'll also deal with all engineering drawings, and then I'm also on all product design or product updates. From the chemical standpoint, that's more of the design side. So when I'm actually designing or building it, that's when I'm using my chemical engineering degree. So one example would be my last project I was on with a hydrodynamic countercurrent chromatography machine. So that basically utilizes two immiscible solvents that then flow together, mix up into a big mixture with whatever target compound you want to put in there. And then when those immiscible solvents resettle themselves back out, you will have separated whatever target compound you're looking for. So that was the last real chemical one I was working with. I was doing a lot of quantum chemical modeling using this computer software called Amsterdam Modeling Suite Cosmo RS, where I basically would build out molecules, see how those molecules would interact with solvents, and then basically did some random fluid dynamics calculations to kind of see how that would handle in an actual agitated environment. And then I designed based off of that stuff.
What does your work environment look like? Do you have an office, a lab, a shared workspace? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we just recently moved into a new office building, so I'm just at a standard office cubicle desk area. And then whenever we're doing actual, because we've got a new building, we haven't officially built the lab out yet, so we do that third party. So any of the other companies that we kind of have relationships with, we'll go over there and use their labs if we need to do any actual testing. But in the future, that'll be all done in-house.
And what would you say is the best part of your job?
I would probably say after initial design, probably testing, when I'm trying to test a new design, figuring out whether or not it's going to work and trying to figure out how to do all those tiny little tweaks that you always inevitably have to do when you're doing an initial design, kind of stuff like that. I like the tweaking. I like the figuring out, my overall product, how to make that better.
Very cool. And if there's a worst part, what would the worst part of your job be?
Worst part would definitely be engineering drawings and the administrative stuff. The drawings, once you kind of get the hang of AutoCAD, it's really just touch and click, and it's a little tedious. So that's like 3 hours of my day that I get a little annoyed with. But other than that, it's not bad.
Is there any skill or ability that people should have if they wanted a job like yours?
I would say definitely hands-on mechanical skill, especially if you're kind of coming out of college. A lot of college kids have a lot of the mental requirements, but they come in and it's tough to know how to, especially on the kind of ground-up design, if you don't know how to turn a wrench or really know in-depth how real-world pumps and stuff work. That's probably the biggest learning curve, I would say.
And you mean like actually hands-on, like if you were to say like, oh, we need to change the pump out on this rig or whatever, or this thing, like to be able to actually go and take tools and like replace it?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not sure, at a bigger company, I'm assuming a chemical engineer probably wouldn't be doing that. But because we're so small, I'd be the guy that would go and replace the gears and pumps and stuff like that. And obviously, because I'm not a mechanic, that was something I definitely had to learn on the fly pretty quickly.